Hi everybody, George Sell here from Service Department News. We're at Recharge 2020 in Barcelona. I'm here with Richard Lustigman from JLL to talk about co-living, specifically the investment piece. Investor attitudes to co-living have changed a lot in the last couple of years. It's fair to say originally there was an amount of scepticism. So Richard, where do you think we're at the moment? Is the investment community fully engaged with this concept now?
I think it's a really interesting question. I think across the living spectrum, there's recognition that asset classes are emerging, whether that's in the alternative space, student use, or in the residential space with the multifamily or build-to-rent sector. And ultimately, an investor is looking for long-term stable income. And so they're looking for assets that provide that. And I think co-living is an integral part of that market. It signifies the merging between different assets and how they're intertwining. And so therefore, it provides a diversifying strategy for investors and also a defensive strategy by providing an asset that is more flexible than other uses, with deeper tenancy pools and longer tenancy periods. And this year we have seen, back end of 2019, the incorporation of the first co-living fully fledged fund. And alongside that, we are working with investors that are going to directly invest into co-living through their residential funds. So absolutely, we know the capital is there and keen to deploy directly into the co-living sector.
So the VC guys obviously got in earlier, but now the big major institutions are investing cash in this sector.
Well, I see it as two parts, really. You have the PropCo and the OpCo, the operational business. And certainly the VC money has looked towards operators to back and try and find growth within the operational market. But the PropCo sector or segment, I think, is dominated right now by the private equity market in much the same way that nascent markets are also grown or developed by the private equity sector. And so their capital deployed into co-living is perhaps more short-term money. But certainly there is core institutional capital, those with an evergreen outlook that are keen to and are analysing co-living opportunities as a way, as I say, to diversify and act defensively in a broad portfolio of bedded assets.
So how do you see the sector evolving over the next couple of years, both in terms of product type and investor attitude?
I think the key thing to me is that what has come forward already and what exists in the market looks radically different to what's coming next. We're working on numerous assets in the UK, across Europe, into Asia and the US, and ultimately they're very different in terms of their physical form to what has come previously, and that's predominantly in the kind of amenity space provided to residents and the amount of private space the individual gets. I think that's one key component part, whether you want to call that co-living 2.0, is really happening. It's filtering through the planning pipeline. But also it's coming in different use classes. So it isn't just a studio typology, it's also being seen in the residential market and in the hotel sector as well. And I think that will continue to develop over the next couple of years. There will be arm's length transactions in the market this year. And we'll see the establishment of programmatic investments and platform opportunities for both investors, developers and operators to buy into. But I think for me that the broader horizon is looking at how co-living works within the broader sense of the living asset class and how we get to a point in time where we can deliver something that's really intergenerational.
Thanks, Richard. It's a fascinating space. We're discussing it here at Recharge today and doubtless in future years. And we're going to see a lot more investment into co-living. It's going to become a regular, mainstream asset class, and the future looks exciting. Thanks very much, Richard.
Pleasure.